All right, welcome to the boy. That start sucked.
Hey,
welcome
take
to
two.
this.
Take two.
All right, welcome to the straight red card. And yeah, as the slide indicated to you, we're gonna do an overview of the USA Canada game. Before we get into that, make sure you like it or pretend to like it. You can join us on Twitter as well. That's all, Brett.
Yeah,
Brett's
you can
funny.
like it and comment it just to stick it to YouTube.
That's right. You can get on Twitter, and the guy responding will always be Brett because I don't do Twitter. But the good news is Brett is funnier and he's nicer than me too. So do that, and you guys will have great discussions there, great debates. No one will get called any names. Brett's great at that.
I don't take social media seriously, guys. So please don't take anything I say too seriously. I can have a normal debate with somebody, but yeah, I'm not gonna get into a heated argument or anything like that.
Exactly. You just had your first really solid debate.
It was a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, we'll get into that one once we start talking about Busio. Also, everybody, subscribe. Thank you to the hundreds of you people out there who have been liking this or subbing on this show like crazy. It's been great. We're growing fast. We appreciate it. Trust me. Also, share the video if you can. You can share it with your drunk uncle. You can share it with other relatives and people that need more information. Also, check out the Patreon. I'll actually remember to put the link in the bottom for this show because it tastes delicious. The Patreon tastes delicious. It's not completely finished yet, but it still tastes really good. On that note, we'll jump into it. I guess the coolest thing that I read before we get directly into the subject is that I sweat a lot on this show. Which was
hear it in your voice, Derek.
Yeah, you can just hear.
God, dude, he's totally sweat up right now.
You can almost feel the pork grease dripping.
He's got 5 fans running. God.
That's really kind of an inside joke, but it's not if you read the message because it was really great that somebody said, Derek has a sweating problem. He meant swearing. Swearing. I have a swearing problem. I'm trying to fix it. I'm working on it so this can be a child-friendly show so you can play it for your children and say, learn about soccer, but that's probably not going to happen. So wishful thinking on my part. But hey, Brett.
I have a swearing problem too. I just don't bring attention to it. It's not a problem if you're good at it.
Yeah, I know. Well, you don't say the F-bomb as much as I do. So my problem's the F-bomb. I showed my mom the show. She's like, you said fuck in the last 5 minutes 16 times. I'm like, yeah, I know. This is one of the nights I was really it's one of the nights I was really, had a few too many. So anyhow, Brett, did you not get your empty bucket versus Canada? Did you not get it?
That was not an empty bucket.
Okay, explain why it isn't. Oh my God.
So first off, we played with 3 center backs and 2 wing backs, and then it wasn't the standard 4-2-2-2.
That was only on defense, and granted, we played defense most of the game, it was a 5-3. It was a 5-3-2.
So
but
in the attack, what was it then? A 2-2-2-2.
No.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was your empty bucket.
It was not.
It was a 4-1 or 4-4-2, but it was a diamond. You had Sands playing the bottom of the bucket, right? You had Acosta out, right? You had Leggett out left. You had Busio in the middle, and yes, we're Leggett and Acosta tucked in a lot. Sometimes they were.
A diamond midfield in a 4-4-2 is not an empty bucket. The empty bucket would be 2 box-to-box midfields, 2 wingers that pinch in, and then 2 strikers, and the wing backs up and down.
You're absolutely right. I'm a moron.
You're blaming me now.
This is like a Bob Bradley 4-4-2. This was almost, a
non-Bob Bradley empty bucket formation.
But it was a Bradley 4-4-2 still.
Okay, sure.
Because we kind of played that with Bob Bradley numerous times as well, where we played the diamond. So, yeah, you would have one holding midfielder, a left and right midfielder, and a sort of attacking midfielder. Anyhow, so you're right. That's a diamond.
Yeah.
Well,
You had me taking crazy pills there, man. I was like, shit, am I messing it up here? Good Lord.
Yeah, my bad on that one. Anyhow, erase all of that. So, so you didn't get the empty bucket, but we did get a 4-4-2, didn't we? On attack, we did, because Sands would come out of that back five or the back three CBs and become the holding midfielder.
I guess in the thought process, though, is that the wingbacks are were supposed to be getting more into the attack as well, which I thought Vines did well. More
second half
points. Yeah, it's just, but yeah, the wingbacks, especially to your point, we were definitely playing defense for like 80% of the game.
So kind of,
I guess they really couldn't move up into the attack.
Now it kind of negated what was sort of a 5-3-2 on defense and a 4-4-2 diamond midfield. And we didn't get to see a lot of offense, but when it happened, when we had possession, you notice Sands would break out of that middle CB spot. The two other guys would stay there, and then you had, your two backs, wing backs, then became just backs, and then he kind of took over as the main distributor and possessor of the ball. He was also a destroyer. He was often the guy stopping stuff before it got to that back 2-4, the back two CBs, and the left and right back, who were usually up the field in some cases when we had possession, but we didn't have much possession. So
nope, that's what hurt.
Yeah,
it was an overall view of the game. It was a shit game, but thank goodness for the result.
Yeah, results.
About the only thing I can say about that.
Results fine. I told somebody yesterday, result is fine, but Canada was the better team. And sometimes you can be the team that isn't doing as well and still win the game.
This plays into our, most people's criticism about Berhalter is a lack of adjusting your formation. The formation worked well for the first 20 minutes, but once our midfield started getting overrun, he needed to make some changes.
He did.
And his changes came too late in the game. At that point, all the changes were doing nothing more than just weathering the storm.
Yeah, I don't know at what point he said, yeah, we'll just take the 1-0. I don't know when that came in the game.
When Yule and rolled on, took the sideline.
I thought
at that point he's like, you know what, we're just gonna take this 1-0 victory and move on.
It looked like it started in the 30th minute. I mean, it really did. But,
well, I mean, that's when we started getting overrun. Once Zimmerman got injured, at that point, things just started falling into place for Canada, and U.S. just never rebounded.
Yeah, Pines is not ready for prime time.
So he's such an interesting case because that first half, outside of that little miscommunication with Sands, right when he got in there, outside of that, he had a great first half. But then that second half just sucked.
He was horrible in the second half.
Awful for second half, I mean,
let's be fair. He only got, 20 minutes, 10 minutes in the first half?
They're phenomenal.
But then after that, it was just, oh boy, you were, every time the ball was near him, you're like, oh shit, what's he going to do?
Dude, that pass back in the 46th minute, like the first minute of the second half, damn near gave Canada a goal. Thank goodness.
It was McKenzie-esque in a bad way.
Well, at least this giveaway didn't occur in the inside of our box. It happened just outside of our half. But saying that,
yeah, it could have gotten ugly. It really could.
A better shot would have led to a goal. Yeah. I mean, nothing against Turner in that situation, but I mean, it was him versus Turner, and unfortunately, it was a bad shot.
And so, how long do you leave Busio in the diamond and not put in Williamson? Did Williamson pull something? Did he have a strain? Was he injured? Why? It was obvious that Busio was getting rolled over in the midfield. absolutely rolled over. And you know what the worst thing was? It didn't look like he gave a fuck about it either.
Dude, that was one of my criticisms about him. Him as I guess I would call it a 6 in this situation before Sands steps up, of course. But
yep.
There were several times where he would get dispossessed or he'd make an errant pass and then he would just trot back. And we're like in our defensive third and he's trotting back. And I'm just like, dude, if you made a mistake, get your ass back there. So that was my one thing. His defensive prowess seems to be lacking, which is one of my criticisms of him playing as a 6 or an Adams replacement. But this takes us into that Twitter debate that you were talking about earlier. I got into a little discussion with fan of ours and 11 Yanks and Tactical and all that. And it was for Twitter and in general, it was a very civil debate. We both talked about our points. We brought it up, and it was a fun debate to have. And I understood his points, and hopefully he understood where I was coming from. But my take was I don't see Busio right now filling in as the Adams backup because he doesn't play the same position as Adams.
No,
and the other guy's argument was basically stating that it's a different type of 6 because and when during Nations League when they brought in Ewell to take over for Adams while Adams was recovering, I guess Berhalter mentioned that Ewell's going to play different. He's going to play a position where he's going to be the deep lying back or deep lying midfielder that's going to dictate the game. And you know what? Busio can do that. He looks over his shoulders. He makes sure his pressure isn't coming onto him, and he's able to turn and dictate where it's at. But the problem there is that we didn't have the midfield to back that up. So I mentioned with being very much an Italian style there with Pirlo that he's not Pirlo and we don't have the Italian defense to back it up.
No, we don't. I mean, Pirlo on the Italian national team during that time period always had a destroyer somewhere around.
Mm-hmm.
And so no, it's not the same thing. Like Pirlo was not a great defensive player. And no one expected him to be a destroyer. But in Greg's role for that position, in many times against really much better teams, you're going to need an Adams who can be a distributor and a destroyer and a stealer and a tackler and a guy who anticipates everything before it happens. And Busio is just simply not there. I'm not saying he's never going to get there. He's just not there now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really evident watching Sands play that he was much closer to being another Adams than Busio is. Now, Busio can go to Italy and do his little Pirlo thing if they let him. But today's game doesn't really allow for a lot of Pirlos. Even when Pirlo was at New York City, I'm granted he was like almost a grandfather at the time, but he didn't play much different. He kind of moseys around. He gets the ball, picks up his head. He finds the right pass. That's not a position you're going to see a ton of a lot unless it's also partnered with a killer destroyer Conte type, as you put it in an early discussion, right next to you or somewhere near you.
So and that was the thing. And I understand his point. And quite frankly, yes, Busio's skill set fits that role perfectly. As much as he can at this point, he needs to develop into that type of a position, but he's definitely got the skill sets for it. But again, we just didn't have the midfield to back him up. Acosta wasn't the workhorse destroyer that we needed to be side by side with him. And it was definitely not going to be Leggett. Leggett was not going to get back into defense that much, if anything. Quite frankly, looking at our roster, it would have been nice if we're going to play that way to have somebody like a Williamson next to Busio, because Williamson can be that. From what I've seen, and limited as it is, it looked like he was very capable of playing more of a destroyer type, where he can get into those tackles, get a little physical with things, and still be able to distribute the ball as well.
Yeah,
I mean that would be a thing. Or hell, put Sands next to him, like they tried, but you still have to have a defense to back it all up in the end.
Yeah, if you're going to put Sands next to him, then you're going to have to play sort of the empty bucket you are looking for,
I'm kind of smart like that, you know.
I'm an idiot, apparently.
I just want to close that point out real quick by saying, great debate. I look forward to having more with like that, especially on Twitter. That makes Twitter a little nicer place to go to. Usually, it's just a cesspool of shit. Yeah. But I understood his points. Hopefully, he understood where I was coming from, and everything was civil, and we got along. It was nice.
Yeah, it's nice to disagree with somebody, but not be like, thinking the other person's like a total fucking moron, and those kind of debates are often missing on Twitter. So that's why I'm not there. Very little nuance on Twitter. But, as far as people, I mean, we've talked about Busio. We've talked about people who didn't play well, Pines. But there were plenty of people who didn't play well, and we'll get into that in the player ratings. But there were some people that stood out. We've mentioned it. Sands made a case for himself. I think he might be, outside of Turner, one of the two players in that lineup, and maybe more, who have really said, listen, you need to take me seriously, Greg. I might be an option going down the line.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I can see Sands. Sands has absolutely made a case for himself to be considered for that 23 come World Cup qualifying. Yeah. It's I mean, I don't think that center back position is getting awfully thick as far as depth, as far as numbers of players who could fill in that spot. The debate rolls on, echoing the debate we had with Lawless's comment last segments, but looking at it though, he's stepped up and he's shown that he can also play that backup to Adams, which is what we've been one spot we've been desperately missing. When we're talking about playing 3 World Cup qualifying games in 6 to 8 days, once a month, like the next up until May or whatever. We're going to need Adams is going to need some help. He can't play every single game, and we need somebody who can fill in that we have confidence in.
And this is in between playing a full regular season with your club.
Yeah, club, Champions League, all the domestic cups.
Yeah, you're going to have guys that are going to be injured too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and Adams is one of those injury-prone guys. So you got to have somebody. And Greg really, he really tested Sands in that game. He's like, oh yeah, what I want you to do is play as our center back until we get possession. And then I want you to play the holding role. And then I want you to also kind of go out wide on occasion, but also meet their midfield before they can attack. So I want you to, like, that guy got like the A+ quiz. He was like, Berhalter just tossed like the whole garbage, bag at him and said, good luck, buddy. You're going to sink or swim. And Sands passed. Mm-hmm. That's the amazing. He passed the test.
He hasn't had a bad game this cup. So if there's any silver lining to this Gold Cup, and all the MLS players on there, people are bitching about, the silver lining is we found a player that most people probably didn't know about or consider as an option.
We knew about it. Yeah. We mentioned it, and I'm not just saying that so we can gloat, but we've also been talking about. Well, that helps. Yeah. But we've also been talking about Keaton Parks. And for a while, we just wondered, does Greg even watch NYCFC? Because, like, those two guys work really well together. And, but, yeah, he finally gave Sands a chance. And Sands is turning out to be, a real light in what was a very dark game for us. Listen, I had been partaking. It wasn't that dark for me. It was more dark for my parents, honestly. They're watching the game. They're like, you're making me watch this game. And it's horrible, and we're horrible, and this team sucks. I'm like, okay, all right. The whole game, they're the ones going, that guy's incompetent. That guy can't pass. That guy's a moron. That dude's an idiot. The whole game. And I'm like, Jesus, just chill out. I know there are lots of bad things happening. So that was hilarious, being around casual fans, which is what they are. And I explained to them these are all MLS guys for the most part, outside of a handful. And that didn't matter. They were still upset about the game, even though we were winning. But my parents watch enough soccer in their lives, they knew a bad game when they saw one.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean there's no getting around that. But Greg's subs were just atrocious, Brett.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think especially with when Zimmerman got injured.
Hoppy.
Yeah. So when Zimmerman got injured, and the option was going with either Pines or changing your formation, we go with Pines. I mean, I guess I can understand his take. Up until that point, we were dominating the game. Don't change it if it's not broke, I guess.
Yeah.
But I almost wondered if it would have been better to say pull Sands back alongside Robinson as a center. Put in somebody like Williamson next to Busio and go for more of a standard, whatever, 4-3-3 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that would have been a better change in the end, because Williamson's a little more tested already than Pines would have been. Again, though, Pines had a good first half, just an awful second half.
Yeah, I mean, first half he made the one really goofy move right at the beginning. Later on, he made the other mistake. He made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Pines' second half was atrocious. Not ready for prime time, as I said before. But what got me about the subs was, like, you could have put in Williamson and you put in fucking Ewell, and I just
So we talked about this. I think you asked me the questions like, when do you think that Berhalter decided to go for the draw or the 1-0 win? And I go, when they threw in Ewell and rolled on. At that point, he's like, we're weathering the storm for the last 15 minutes. Let's just hope we get it out, because we're not going to have another chance.
Well, it's just atrocious anyhow. Williamson has shown better than Ewell or Roldan.
Yep.
Roldan was atrocious in the last game. Okay, he was a C whatever, minus, C plus. C, I don't know what we gave him. But, when you're beat a team 6-1, you'd expect
I think you gave him a C plus. I gave him a B minus because he did have a decent dish second half.
He did. And, we gave him a bonus for the dish. You're right. Mm-hmm. But in a 6-1 game, you expect a guy that played the whole game to be one of the stars of the game. He clearly was not. And he jogs around sometimes, and I'm not a fan. And it's time to move on when there are other options, like Keaton Parks, who's not on this team.
Yeah.
Like Williamson, who was on the bench and was available. So,
given where Berhalter played rolled on, why not bring in Mueller instead?
You could bring in Mueller if you had him, or you could bring in Gio Caccini.
Yeah, which we did have, yeah. But he put in against Martinique, they put him as one of the outsides of the, I guess you could say, the 4-3-3, if you will. But it wasn't a 4-3-3. But you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. One of those up top attackers. Why? Right. Whatever. I know. That's the last game, so I'm not worried about that. I will say one thing about this game that's both positive and negative, I guess, at the same time. I thought Zardes had a good game, but why did he start?
Yeah.
That's beyond me. Hoppy was one of our best players against Martinique, and he got on like at the 80th minute or something like that, and still had opportunities.
I don't know what Greg has against Hoppy at this point. I think the brief minutes that he was on the field last game and the game that he got before, he was outstanding. I don't get it. I don't know what kind of thank you letter or whatever he needs to send to Berhalter. But this is just, at this point, it's almost ridiculous. All his trickery, he's available to just run at 3 players. Like, fuck you guys, I'm going to take you on. Yeah. That is something you don't see. And you're not going to get that with Zardes. Zardes can't beat a guy one-on-one if he's got to dribble past him. So he can run past him, but he can't dribble past him. So, come on, Greg. Give guys who have more technical ability and skill, give them a chance. Give them a shot.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
So, do you have anything else to add to this overview? Because it's long.
Yeah, one last thing, and I was trying to find it while you're going off that last little rant there. There was a comment on one of our videos, and I responded with kind of a pessimistic outtake on it. And the guy responded with saying, "LOL, I agree, but aren't you supposed to be like the glass is half full guy?" And I go, yeah, says a lot, doesn't it? And he goes, "LOL, absolutely does."
So yeah, I mean, if people should know that you're like the glass half full guy. I'm the guy that bitches and moans a lot more. And so if Brett, God damn it,
Whoa,
I'm calling you Greg.
Whoa.
If Brett, Jesus, so your name ends with 2 letters, and Greg's name ends with 2 letters, the same letters. So it gets confusing for me when I partake too much. All right. Anyhow, folks, thank you for joining the Straight Red Card today. We'll be back the next day with another segment where we're going to just do player ratings for this game, and then we'll break it down a lot tighter player by player. But that's our general overview and how we felt. So we'll see you soon.